I'm Leanne Tran, psychologist who's worked with families whose kids don't fit the mould for almost 20 years. I've worked with children for decades, but I know parents are the real change makers when it comes to their kids. Having 3 kids of my own means I know it's not easy. Parent Like a Psychologist is all about simplifying how you support your kids with psychology information filtered through years of experience to take you from overwhelmed to confident. Come on in. Hi, welcome to another episode of Parent Like a Psychologist. I'm so excited that you are here to join me again, and just want to apologize first up if there's some crazy noise in the background for this one. I have neighbors who, lovely neighbors who are renovating their house, and it's just being put up on stilts today. So it's one of those things that cannot be done quietly, really. It hasn't interrupted too much apart from the dog barking at them all day. So she is here too. So if there's any um, interference, please just know that really, you can be reassured that this advice and information is coming to you from a parent who gets how crazy and busy life is and lives it just like you do. So I don't know, hopefully it will be something that helps us connect rather than, annoys you so much. I'm staying relatively calm despite all the distractions today, which is great. Um, distraction, something I've been thinking about this morning. I've met with the group um, running through Chaos to Calm this term. That's the program for supporting kids with complex needs like autism, ADHD, or challenging behavior. And yeah, distraction, that comes up a lot with ADHD. But I've been reflecting as well on how important it is to ensure that our ADHD kids get a chance to follow their strengths and passions as well. And that's why I wanted to talk about this with you today. I think as a psychologist too, we sometimes fall into the trap of focusing on the things that can be improved, which is great. That's kind of our job, and our job is to help with developments of skills and the development of self-esteem and other things. But sometimes I think if our kids have a lot of needs, and say maybe they have ADHD, they're having trouble at school, maybe if we're taking them to a psych or an OT or both to get some support and therapy, plus they have to do homework and they're doing tutoring to help with that, it can end up really quickly that kids have just got this schedule of always having to be learning and developing and improving. And that's good. It's good to meet your kids' needs, except I think it can go too far. If kids are constantly working on things that are not their area of strength, it can make life pretty unenjoyable. Imagine if for us as parents, we've got our job that we do all the time, and imagine then after our job, we had to learn how to, you know, learn a different way to do it so that we're a bit better at our job, and we also have to learn these other life skills that aren't coming easily to us. It starts to be an yeah, unenjoyable life pretty quickly. So I think it's really important to think about your child's life in balance and always include some parts that encourage the pursuit of strengths and interests. It's always something that I recommend when I write assessment reports for children as well. It's about these are the things that they could learn, and these are the things parents can do differently, because that's a really big part of it as well. But then also, let's take a moment and let them have enjoyable activities that gives them a chance to shine. Here are some, yeah, I'll get off my soapbox now, maybe. But I think sometimes, though, I think maybe why I'm so passionate about it is because I feel for those kids, and I've seen heaps of them, and from myself understand, I guess, the perspective of how life can become pretty overwhelmingly difficult. I think it's sometimes parents know this stuff, but when they just get messages about how they need to do stuff differently or the kids need to learn new skills, sometimes parents need to be or given permission. Actually, it's also important that they just do fun stuff for the sake of enjoying themselves. Because you can instinctively know that as a parent, but maybe feel like you shouldn't be doing that or that's the wrong thing to do and it's not a good use of resources. So that's why I really want to make sure you know that it is a great strategy. Um, it's good for kids to experience fun stuff just for the sake of it, but also we know that the more enjoyable activities that are scheduled in a kid's life, the less problematic behavior they have. It's probably true of us as parents as well. If we've got stuff that we can do for fun and enjoyment instead of just slogging away at the parenting, we feel better about it. We're less snappy and all of that kind of stuff. So now that we've set the scene about it, I think I just wanted to talk about three, um, you know, I don't know, I guess thoughts I had on this topic. The first one is how to identify unique strengths. So really, it doesn't have to be something that your kid excels at either. So it's really just important of that is one thing that you can focus on the things that people comment about them being good at. Maybe it's soccer, maybe it's art, um, and anything that people identify that they really have good skills in. But the other thing is we can just focus on what our kids enjoy as well. So if they really enjoy art, if they really enjoy soccer or um, whatever it is, music, anything, if they're good at it, great, give them a chance to shine. But if they just enjoy it, just it's okay to give them a chance to just do things for fun and enjoyment as well. So I say strengths, but really it should be strengths or interests. And how I just describe it to kids is stuff you enjoy and that you're good at. That's it. Simple as that. Um, the next point I wanted to make was about how I think that really helps in terms of self acceptance for kids. I think I think understanding that they are good at some things and not at others is great for all kids to build their resilience. But kids who are autistic, who have ADHD, have a little bit more susceptibility to, vulnerability in that they might not be as resilient as others. Their life's a little bit harder. So I think including things that kids are good at and enjoy is really important for that resilience. The other thing too is I guess you can use neurodiversity itself as a strength. And so lots of times when kids are autistic, they might have particular skills they're good at and let them shine in that way. ADHD brains often can be really creative and good at thinking on the spot. And so you can reflect back to your kids the strength that their neurodivergence brings them as well. It's yeah, it's just such a lovely thing to do for kids, and I see their faces light up when I tell them things like that, like, "Wow, you have a really good memory. It's better than mine. I actually don't have a good memory," and I'll show them I'm having to write everything down so I remember. Because the thing we forget too sometimes is that when people are good at something, they kind of take it for granted and assume everybody is because it comes naturally to them. So pointing out the parts of their neurodivergence or their pattern of thinking and highlighting that as a strength is a really lovely thing to do as well. The last thing I wanted to talk about is how you can use passions and strengths to encourage kids to develop skills. I know that I've talked about how they don't always have to be developing a skill, and that's really true. But if your kids need to learn a skill and they're having trouble engaging in that because it's not interesting, then using their interests and passions is a great way to make it more enjoyable for them. So, an example there might be if I've got kids who I'm trying to teach problem solving and they don't really want to do that. If they're great at art, then we'll usually make a really pretty problem solving template where they get to draw around it, and maybe they're drawing the manga figures with some speech bubbles that we leave blank, and then that's what we can use as our template to put in place some ideas. Um, if it's something like emotional regulation, then for kids to be able to do the some breathing techniques in line with what their interests are. Like, for example, I do deep breathing a lot with kids because breathing's a really great strategy, but it might have to be um, Pokemon breathing, or it might be Wings of Fire dragon breathing, or there's a particular manga that escapes me the name of it at the moment, but all of the characters have different breathing techniques. So, using the strengths and interests as a way to really harness the engagement in that conversation is a really, really great way of approaching it with your kids. I hope that gives you a sense of ownership around this stuff as a parent as well. You don't need to talk to somebody about how to do this stuff. I think you will have some really great ideas as a parent about what you can do to harness strengths just for the sake of strengths and enjoyment. Encourage self-awareness and self-acceptance of the strengths that kids have, but also be able to use their strengths in teaching them particular skills, or maybe trying to convey the life lessons that you want to convey through parenting and discipline and that kind of stuff, while using strengths and interests as an example. I know this is a short little episode, but that's okay. It's just one little part, I think, that I've been thinking a lot about lately. Um, I would say the reason is because it's primarily around ADHD, and it's because the ADHD brain doesn't really like to do boring stuff, and it doesn't really like to do hard stuff that's you know, not chosen by by the person with ADHD themselves. So a lot of their lives, day to day, week to week, is at school or at therapy. It might be boring, it might be hard. A way to think about it with the strengths and interests is what is fun and what is easy. Make sure you've got some opportunities for your ADHD kids and teenagers to have things in their day to day that is fun and easy. This is a little bit a part of what we do in the supporting your ADHD kids programs I have, one for primary schoolers and one for teenagers. And I go through all of the information I have about how to support your kids at home, but also what skills that you might be able to teach them. But this is an important part as well, which is giving opportunity for stuff that's fun and easy. So have a go of this with this stuff at home. If you need a little bit of a hand doing it, or if this is easy for you but you struggle with the skill development side of things, um, come and join me in the Supporting Your ADHD primary school or teenager programs. It's a really great way to learn all of the things you might need to know to give you the confidence to know that you've got it all covered. Um, I also do parent work one on one as well. So that's an option if you'd like to check that out through the website. If you want to really just dive in deep and specific about your child and nut some things out with me, I'd really love to meet you and help you, and then through you help your child with this stuff. It's really, really great when I get to see kids move from feeling a bit um, down about their life to feeling good and inspired and confident in themselves. So I would love to help anybody I could with that. So thanks so much for listening, and I will be back next week talking about some more ways to support ADHD, structure and routine, and then also emotional resilience as well. So make sure you join in for that. And if you have any ideas for a podcast topic, let me know, because I'm really happy to add that to the list for 2025. Thanks so much. Thanks for listening to this episode of Parent Like a Psychologist. If you found it helpful, please share on Instagram so other parents can benefit too, and tag me at Leanne Tran Psychology so that I can say a big thank you. Head over to leannetran.com.au to join the village for bite-sized psychology tips straight to your inbox. I really hope this podcast has brought a new perspective and you a step closer towards a calm parent and a thriving child. Have a delightful day.